All right, here you go. The list you've been waiting for. You're in medical school. You're thinking about medical school. You're thinking about nursing school. You want to know which physicians, which specialties. You want to know which doctors have the most respect inside of the hospital, not only for their salaries, but the job that they do and what other physicians think of them. I'm Dr. Hassan. I'm a board certified anesthesiologist. As an anesthesiologist, I get to work with most of the physicians in the hospital. This is because when you go under anesthesia, all the medications you take, all the surgeries you've had, all the procedures you've had, they all come together at one focal point in the hospital. This means we get to see which physicians have the most respect, which physicians get to push out other physicians, which doctors are the most important for your health and your wealth inside the hospital. Now, before we get started, this is my own list. I've been attending for about 10 years across the country in the Midwest, East Coast, not on the West Coast. I know a little bit about who is well respected and who is kind of pushed to the edge. Obviously, I'm not going to really cover those that are pushed to the edge, but I will cover the 5 specialties, 5 type of doctors that run the show. Now, starting at number 5, I'm going to group the entire group of general surgeons and all their offshoots under one category because they're all kind of on the same footing. This includes minimally invasive surgeons, this includes general surgeons, this includes cancer surgeons. Most of these surgeons generate a lot of revenue for the hospital. They do have a lot of power in the hospital. They are looked up toward in the hospital, especially those that do specialize, whether it's cancer surgery, transplant surgery, bowel surgery, minimally invasive surgery. These surgeons have a lot of pull, have a lot of respect. They do a lot of hard procedures, and they are really sought after by every hospital because you have to have a general surgery staff in order to filter out all the low-paying individuals in order to get to the higher-paying procedures, which are done by specialists that are going to be coming up next. Number 4 on the list, these are ICU and critical care physicians. These physicians are the backbone that kind of keep the hospital going. They usually cover up a lot of the errors, a lot of the problems that happen in medicine. ICU physicians and critical care physicians are some of the most intelligent, smartest, nicest people you'll meet who day in and day out are stressed out immensely by their jobs. However, of all the doctors in the hospital, these ones, when they speak, especially out of the internal medicine world, when they give their opinion, every other doctor either has an opinion of their opinion or respects their opinion. Unlike our emergency medicine colleagues or radiology colleagues, which are kind of brushed off to the side when they give their opinions, critical care doctors, when they give their opinion, mostly everybody listens except for the high-end surgeons for the most part and some cardiologists. But critical care is a fantastic field. They have shifts on and off. They work a lot less than the general surgery colleagues, and they have a huge job satisfaction because when you get to the critical care, when you get to the ICU as a patient, you're at the last line of defense before you leave the hospital elevator up or elevator down. So these physicians are very well respected. They've saved a lot of surgeons, a lot of cardiologists, a lot of other practitioners' butts by bringing a lot of patients back from the grave to living. Number 3 in the hospital, these are cardiologists. Cardiologists are some of the most well-respected, highest paid, money-generating physicians inside the hospital. For those who don't know, cardiology is big business, big money. Everybody's gonna have a heart attack. Everybody eventually passes away from cardiac issues. Even if you have cancer or stroke or diabetes, it's your heart that's the last beating thing that's going to keep you alive. So cardiologists get a lot of respect. They're very highly compensated. They work insane hours. But usually when they say, hey, this surgery can't go, hey, this patient is high risk, everybody listens. The surgeons listen, the medical teams listen, the nephrologists listen. As much as they don't like to listen, they butt heads. Nephrologists also listen to cardiologists. And it's basically because the heart is the most important organ in the body and they generate a lot of revenue for the hospital. So when push comes to shove, these guys can pretty much shove out anybody they want. Number 2 on the list, these are cardiothoracic surgeons. These are cardiac surgeons, so they take cardiology to the next level. When you can't be fixed by the cardiologist, you get fixed by the cardiac surgeon. The cardiothoracic surgeons, they work on your heart and your lungs. These are some of the most intense, high stress, high risk surgeries out there. Your heart is basically stopped for several hours while the surgeon works and fixes whatever problems you have. As I told you before, the cardiologists generate a lot of revenue for the hospital, but cardiologists couldn't really function without a cardiac surgeon in the hospital. According to Medicare guidelines, if you're over a certain number of cath labs in a hospital, you need to have a cardiac surgeon. So if you're a busy hospital in a major metropolitan, you're going to have a cardiac surgeon on staff. This is because more than likely 1 out of every 100 caths are going to end up catastrophic. When they end up catastrophic, when they're either fixing a blood vessel or a valve inside your body, when they end up catastrophic, you need a cardiac surgeon there to fix it immediately. There isn't a huge window of time after something happens in the cath lab when you're in the operating room and having your chest open and your heart fixed. So cardiac surgeons are one level above cardiologists. Their salaries are very comparable, but cardiac surgeons are basically a safety net for the entire hospital because cardiologists are a safety net for the community and the cardiac surgeons are a safety net for the cardiologists. And number one on the list, these are the most impressive, most highly sought after, most renowned surgeons in the hospital. And you probably picked up that a lot of these specialties are surgeons, and that's because surgery generates about 65 to 70% of the revenue for the hospital. These surgeons not only work on your brain, but they also work on your spine. They're neurosurgeons. For those who don't know, neurosurgery is probably the longest residency out there. Typically it's 7 years, can be 8 or 9 years. You work 80-ish hours a week, and then when you become an attending, you also work 65, 70 hours a week. You work on microscopic nerves and microscopic parts of your brain and your back, and this includes orthopedic spine surgeons as well. And everybody knows that neurosurgery is akin to rocket science, and basically anybody that is a neurosurgeon can have whatever they want in the hospital. If they want a special microscope, if they want some crazy magnetic resonance imaging machine inside the operating room, if they want to do cancer surgery in the most awkward position in the most remote location in the hospital, they will get it. There are obviously some surgeons are not as good as others, but for the most part, when you're a neurosurgeon, whatever you say goes. Now, notably, I left off some other high-earning, high-respected, highly sought-after fields. This includes urologists, gastroenterologists, plastic surgeons, and breast surgeons. The reason I left these guys out is because more often than not, a lot of their procedures are shifting from the hospital to the surgery centers. And when you get a colonoscopy or when you get breast implants, you're usually going to have it done at a surgery center unless you're very sick and you're done at the hospital. And because of that, the amount of respect and cachet that comes with being those type of physicians inside the hospital has come down to fall out of the top 5. They are very highly respected. All the physicians are highly respected for the most part. There are a couple of fields that aren't, but for the most part, most fields are respected. Every physician matters. Every part of the medical team matters. There's my top 5 list. Do you agree? Leave your comments below. Do me a favor, please like and share. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.